morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, where anything can happen, and it's been proven over and over again because we have so many devices making this show possible on the radio, CKLU 96.7 FM. You could also not only listen to us on old school radio, but on the internet. You can stream this show and CKLU for that matter by going to cklu.ca and just click on the Radio Player Canada logo, and you can stream us. They have a player. Also, you can just download that player, the Radio Player Canada app, listen to this show or any of the other great programming that comes from CKLU anytime, anywhere on your favorite device. So, and that is, you can you just download the app and it works, where it's all about apps these days. So everything is pretty much run on apps. I remember the invention of apps. I was like, why do we need apps? We have websites. But now I kind of obviously, after time, see the importance of apps and how that how they factor into our lives and become part of our devices. Almost, rather than going to search for a website that's just an icon and you open it up and it offers different features to be able to use. Good morning, David. Thanks for being with us this morning. Good morning, Lise. Good morning. Not able to get the comments up on the app today. Speaking of apps, I use an app as the way to broadcast this show. It's a studio in an app. Go figure. It's pretty incredible. What an age we live in. And also, Facebook is an app, YouTube is an app. And so on those two apps or websites, you can watch us as we stream live each and every morning between 7:30 and 8:30 at facebook.com/Sudbury News or youtube.com/Sudbury News. Good morning, Jen. Happy Halloween, everyone. It is Halloween, and it looks like we're going to get to the weather very shortly, that we're going to have some good weather today. And that's why I was just hoping for good weather, just for the kiddies' sakes, to get out there and enjoy Halloween. So without further ado, and we're going to have a good show today regardless. I don't know how today's going to go. There's lots to cover. There's some breaking news. Unfortunately, there's 3 bodies been found in a home in Coniston that they're looking into, and they're asked if anyone has information on that to contact police or Crime Stoppers. Very unfortunate. I'm hoping to maybe find out as much information as we can on that as it's breaking. Came out late last night or after about 6:00 yesterday, and then just early this morning we found out the bad news. So, anyways, let's hope that we can find out what happened there and who's behind that. It's very sad. Condolences to the family and anyone who knows the people involved or those people who are deceased. Very unfortunate. So let's see if we can get into that. But first, we're going to start with some weather, some sports. We'll get into all the highlights and the headlines over the weekend. There's many to talk about. Couple video clips we're going to look at, and we'll get right into all those things that are issues, pressing, news headlines here in Greater City of Sudbury. And we'll be back right after this with some weather. It was very foggy this morning on my drive to work. I work out of town, like out of the city. So I have to drive, and it's about an hour. Anyways, so I noticed the fog was incredible, just very thick this morning in the area of the city. As soon as I got out, I was going east, and I'm driving, and right after the city limits, pretty much on the bypass, as soon as the 4-lane was done, seemed like right about there, fog, gonzo, like no fog whatsoever. So it seems like the fog is just kind of centralized around the city. For any of you people that are traveling today, you may want to know that it's very foggy around the city. It's currently 5 degrees and 100% humidity due to the fog, I would say. And mix of sun and cloud today, high of 14. And the UV index will be about 3 or moderate. The fog patches, thankfully, will be dissipating near noon. Yeah, and it was the same thing yesterday, too. It took a long time for those fog patches to dissipate. It seemed like they hung around forever. Tonight, increasing cloudiness. Early this evening, fog patches developing again. So you can expect maybe more of the same tomorrow. Mainly cloudy Tuesday, clearing near noon. Yeah, there you go. Fog patches dissipating in the morning. The wind will be southwest, 20 kilometers. Also, high of 14 tomorrow. So same as today. Looks like you can pretty much expect the same as today, Tuesday. Clearing, high of 14. And then Wednesday, absolutely forecasted to be 100% sunny. We'll see if that happens. But anyway, sunny, high of 13. Can't complain. Thursday, cloudy, high of 14. So we're looking at 14 degrees, 13 degrees, 12 degrees on Friday. They're saying there's a 40% chance of rain. Also on Saturday, high again. There, 9. So it looks like it's going down a little bit, but pretty moderate temperatures for this time of year. Can't complain, really. Here's a look at the satellite over Northern Ontario, brought to you by Environment Canada. Over the last, 12 hours or so, you can see the cloud is just cover is dissipating, going away, and the skies are clearing. So that's your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca, which lands on Sudbury.news website on the weather portion. And we're looking at making that page even more robust with more and more weather information as we become aware of it and start and really work on our page. We want to have a place everyone can go where if you want the latest weather, you can get, almost weather. You can choose where you get your weather from, kind of thing, anything Sudbury related, and pick your best weather source from our page, kind of thing. So even though we're not a producer of it, I'm not a meteorologist, I do want to make it as easy and have the best information to be available for people on the website. So coming soon to Sudbury.news, SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back right after this with some sports. The Sudbury Wolves were in action on Friday and Saturday. And the first game was a stop in Sarnia. And the headline reads, and you could probably guess what happened, says Wolves stung in Sarnia to start the road trip. So the game was pretty close, actually. It was a 1-goal game, and there was a bit of a faux pas play. It was just a weird bounce. And Joe Ranger, the Sudbury goalie, just kind of, it could happen to any goalie. Kind of bounced off his stick and went in the net. And it went all downhill from there. The final score ended up being 6-2. But it wasn't, the final score doesn't really show, the real game kind of thing. Anyways, that game was broadcast on CKLU. You would have heard David Bowen calling that game. Also, the next day on Saturday, they were in action against the London Knights, who are also near the Wolves in the standings, kind of at the basement. The Knights got off to a bit of a slow start this year, and so the Wolves kept it very close. It was the scoring was about 40 shots. There was 40 shots per side. the final score ended up being 5-4. It was a very close game, really hard fought game. It's unfortunate that the Wolves are ending up on the bad side of these kind of close games, because it's going to make a difference as the season rolls on, and they're going to have to get on some real winning streaks in order to make up for some of these. But keeping on the sports-related stories, there was an Indigenous organization that's basically getting used equipment and getting it to the people that really need it. And I think it's a really great initiative. And the story from CTV News basically sums it all up. So let's just take a peek here.
The Indigenous Hockey Equipment Drive was in our region for the first time today. The Southern Ontario organization was in Sudbury to distribute gear to 5 Indigenous communities in the area. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
Graham and Angie McWaters started the Indigenous Hockey Drive 8 years ago, with collection points in Barrie, Whitby, and Toronto.
I have a passion for helping kids. I want to make sure I put as many people into sports as possible, and my wife has an Indigenous background, and the hockey, I've grown up playing hockey myself, and I know it's a very expensive sport, and I'm giving back. It's all about giving back to the community.
For the first time, equipment donated through the drive was distributed in Sudbury to 5 area Indigenous communities. Members say they are thrilled with efforts to help get kids out enjoying the many benefits of the game.
Physical activity is so important. It helps people have a balance of mind, body, and spirit, and it promotes good psychosocial skills.
They're going to get outside and enjoy the activity, exercise, and learn to love the sport of hockey. Teamwork is always important. Get them together and play.
The Northern Hockey Academy provided volunteers to help with the distribution.
Hockey is such an important part of our culture, and the more families and the more young boys and girls that we can help provide equipment to, provide opportunity for, I think it's just for the betterment of all our communities.
We brought up 150 bags, 150 sticks. We brought up 15 containers of sanitizer, and everybody's getting brand new neck guards.
Organizers say the plan is to hold equipment collections in Sudbury next year for the Indigenous Hockey Equipment Drive to expand distribution into even more northern communities. Ellen Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
You really have to love a story like that. And, I find hockey is a very expensive sport to play. And what ends up happening is only people who have, the extra means can actually do it. So you need a really strong, support. First of all, you need to be taken to the games. So you need someone who's going to be there for you as you're growing up. You really need usually it's family, it's parents that are bringing you to the rink, to the games. And I know myself, I had that for the first part of my life, but then when I moved from one parent to another, it was a different type of a scenario, and I found myself having to get to the games myself, and then the financial aspect of it, and then it just kind of dwindled around. But my life could probably look a lot different if something like this was available back in the day, kind of thing. So it's really great. It gives people an opportunity where they may not have the means or the support to basically play a really amazing sport. If you've ever played hockey and it's just an incredible team sport and great exercise. Teaches you a lot about life too. Teaches you about how to get along with others, how to work on skills and abilities, and there's just so many great things. In winter, I mean, we have so much winter up here that it's just a good fit for our climate. And speaking of that, also sports related. Sorry if I'm scrolling here and anybody has issues with motion sickness and things like that. There was a new community builds new rink at Robinson's Playground, a concrete pad poured for the renewed Robinson Playground outdoor rink. So that basically is an awesome initiative because, it's easy to just, go to the rink. It's down the street, put your skates on, get out there. And this isn't something you need all that equipment for, and you don't need all that support if you're not in, competitive type sports, but it can still keep you active. And if you just love the fun of the game, this is something that's really important, right? So its grand opening is expected to take place in December. Park volunteer Joe Caradade and LaForge Southern Ontario distributions manager Wayne Huska. Basically, they're shown in the picture here, smiling, big smiles. The concrete pad for a new outdoor rink has been poured at Robinson Playground, with the boards set to be installed in the coming months in time for the grand opening in December. Several employees of Lafarge came to check out the pad at 215 Cranbrook Crescent on Friday. After donating the cement for the project, which Fisher Wavy employees poured. After growing up 6 houses from the park, Lafarge Southern Ontario distributions manager Wayne Huska said, supporting the project was an easy decision. As a child growing up, our parents were very active in this whole playground community. And this is all we had as kids growing up, the playground. His father would stay up until early morning hours flooding the rink, and longtime park volunteer Joe Caradade jokingly blames him for roping him into volunteering his time for the park as well. So also, I think Mark Signoretti says building a roof over the rink will be the next goal for this playgrounds rink. Ward 1 councillor, newly voted in, Mark Signoretti, said ballparking the cost would be approximately $600,000 to put a roof over the rink. Because, it's great to have an outdoor rink. But I know my sister has a real great complex across from where she lives in Southern Ontario. And they have like a nice indoor facility where you go you put on your skates, take off your skates, all that stuff. But it's right beside the rink. You just walk out onto the rink that has just a roof over it. It doesn't have walls or anything like that. But it just saves so much the ice from the weather. And it's such a great thing that, in shoveling and things like that, the rink is more useful. It's less to maintain. Of course, it costs a little more. And I was surprised at the price tag, $600,000 for a roof. Oh my goodness. Anyways, it is what it is. I guess these days to build things to code and go through all of the safety and go through all the engineers and all the red tape. I think at the end of the day, you end up with $600,000 for a roof over an outside rink, which, if you're going to get a lot of use out of it and it's going to be used for the community, it could be money well spent. For now, however, Signoretti is eager to celebrate what the community has already accomplished. And that's not an easy undertaking doing something like that. You got to go through a lot of hoops. Speaking of hoops, I think there's some hoops in some of the headlines today. Let's get to that. That was your sports, brought to you by SudburySports.com. And SudburySports.com, just a little shout out for that, is everything sports, local sports, brought to you by Randy Pascal, that Sudbury sports guy. So here you got the top story. The Knights defense racks up 4th straight shutout for the banner, right? So look at that. Llewellyn Park Knights successfully defend their SDSSAA Senior Boys football crown, blanking Confederation Chargers 34-0 on Friday. So here you go. There's a high school headline that I would have missed if I wasn't checking in with SudburySports.com. So that was the football championship for high school here in the city. So congratulations to Llewellyn. But oh my goodness, what a score that is, 34-0. Check out SudburySports.com for all your sports, local sports. We'll be back right after this with some of the news headlines. Yeah, lots going on the weekend. It is Halloween today, so that's, I guess, some sort of breaking news. If you are, giving out candy, you're participating. Maybe you're going to a party. Maybe you're dressing up for work today. Maybe you're frantically trying to pick out a last minute costume that you possibly didn't plan for, and you're just seeing what you have in your closet and whatever makeup you can throw on. Who knows? And then maybe there's a bit of a party at work, or maybe you went to a Halloween party this weekend. I'm not sure. Or maybe you're actually going out with some little ones, maybe your own little ones, or maybe some grandkids or friends, family. Maybe you're getting involved somehow. Just remember to keep safe out there. A lot of little ones will be on the road. And as you're driving, take some caution. We'll have a news update on that. But just let's check in here on this headline, Sudbury.com. 3 found dead in Coniston home. Police say this is an isolated incident and there's no concern for public safety. Now, that is a crisis communications PR 101. When you're releasing information like this, you have to let the public know that they're in no danger. So someone hears this, they're like, well, does that mean that there's somebody out there and it could impact me? So right away, there's no danger or concern to public safety. Here's some of the pictures from the home in Coniston where this incident took place. Reported again from Sudbury.com. Greater Sudbury Police say there's 3 people dead after an incident in Coniston that occurred yesterday. Officers were dispatched to the home at Caruso Street, 6:30 p.m. in relation to what police refer to as unknown trouble. They entered the home as there were immediate concerns for the person's well-being, said police. Upon entering the home, officers located 3 people deceased. At this time, their identities have not yet been confirmed. This is an isolated incident, and there's no concern, as we said, for the public safety. The investigation into this incident is ongoing. Detectives from Greater Sudbury Police Criminal Investigation Division are working in collaboration with the coroner's office on the investigation, and the postmortems will be conducted through the coroner in order to assist in determining the cause of death. Officers will be on scene in the area canvassing for information. Anyone with information is asked to contact police 675-9171 or Crime Stoppers 705-222-TIPS or 222-8477. So very sad news there to report. It's not something that I would want to be reporting on a daily basis. Very sad situation. We'll, as we just check in on our Facebook page as the day goes on, or check in on any of the local news to keep up to date with that. Maybe I want to just share one of the other stories that could be somewhat related to that. Pedestrian sent to hospital after being hit in a crash in Sudbury on Saturday. Section of Notre Dame Avenue was closed for about an hour on Saturday evening following a collision an evening collision. Just before 5 p.m., police responded to a collision near the downtown area, Greater Sudbury Services said in a tweet. Notre Dame Avenue between King Street and Nolan was closed while traffic was diverted. During that time, police told CTV News Sunday that the crash involved a pedestrian who was transported to hospital. The road opened an hour later, and the story will be updated as more information becomes available. But I just wanted to kind of go to one of the comments that was stated here. And yeah, Brian was saying, that story about the Coniston incident is definitely very sad. Kim says about the pedestrian being hit on Notre Dame. This is getting out of hand. All these pedestrians dying from crossing the road. which is true. We're getting more and more incidents of that than I've ever seen here in the city. But today I was behind the biggest loser ever. It wasn't even close to a green light. And he decided he's making a left turn at the four-way stop on LaSalle by the Esso. Guys, like, this is killing people. So again, I just thought that comment was, I think what a lot of people are thinking. There's two things here, right? We have more and more people just kind of, I want to say, just walking close to the downtown core. So in the greater Sudbury, core, there's more and more pedestrians walking. Now, a lot of the what I have seen was people not really paying attention to the road conditions, meaning the traffic. So I've seen this, people just wander out in thick traffic and just cross the road, new across. Now, could that be because the person is not quite in the mind frame of noticing what's going on around them? I would say possibly, probably strongly a possibility, due to whatever reasons, whether it be mental illness or whether it be on something. And so we see this a lot more happening, and no paying attention to any of the traffic rules that a pedestrian even should, like jaywalking, just walking across busy intersections and things. Yeah, but you also have people crossing the road near the Rainbow Mall area that don't even look to see what's coming. Yeah, that's exactly my point. So there's that. And it's hugely increasing. And I definitely, just to let everybody know, I'm going to take it upon myself to go downtown and see if I can kind of get to the bottom of the increase of people that seem to be downtown. When I've been there quite often in the last little bit, and there's noticeably people that don't seem like they're from this area, that, they're walking around with backpacks or whatever means they have, carrying the contents of what they own with them. You can tell they're currently non-housed. I don't know what the new politically correct term is. I'll just, for now, refer to them as homeless. And by no means am I looking at any disrespect to somebody who doesn't live in a home and they're living outside. But there's a huge increase. There's no doubt about it. Just from my own, so this is firsthand research, not third-party research, just from my own eyes, knowing it, living here for so many years, living downtown for so many years. There's a huge increase in homelessness. Now, I think that's no surprise to a lot of people. But again, are they Sudbury residents? Were they born and raised in Sudbury and now find themselves without a home? Or were they born and raised somewhere else and ended up here? So I want to get to the bottom of why there's an increase in homelessness, period, and where some of these people were before they came to Sudbury and why they chose to be in Sudbury. I'm going to be going down with my camera, probably just my phone and camera, and interviewing firsthand, because there's multiple people out there, or sides of, multiple points of view of why we have so much homelessness in town. So that's what, just to let everyone know, that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so Miles said sometimes when I go home downtown Notre Dame from work, the people don't pay attention. Really hard to see them at night. Yes, could be drug induced for sure. I take the bus too after 11 coming home from work, and there's a lot of homeless around the bus station for sure. And yes, Brian, good morning, Sudbury campers. That's Brian Poulet. He was on the show on Friday talking tech, and he'll be on again talking tech at some point soon in the future. So yeah, so we have this this epidemic, if you will. It is an epidemic. We have an opioid epidemic. We have a homeless epidemic in our city, and causes we should be looking into if that is something that journalism does. I would like to exercise the little bit of the journalist in me that I can to be able to do that. Now, so that's the one thing that's a problem, obviously. However, there's also, as Kim pointed out in her comments here, people's driving. So if there's no one on the streets and everybody is cautious about how to cross the roads and there's nobody wandering around, with an opioid addiction, high, for lack of a better term, then you don't have to be as cautious. However, it is what it is. Solutions have not been found. It doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon. So if you are driving, especially in that area, it would be good to just be very aware that this could happen at any particular point. Now, my wife is really good for this while I'm driving. She's like, someone could just jump out at any time. And to me, I'm like, well, through the years, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty good at, looking far ahead and, I can gauge my driving, no problem. But I don't know if I'm downtown and I'm just making a quick turn or whatever. Someone easily could just jump out from a building onto the street, no problem. Or like Miles was saying, at night. And what about winter when we start getting visibility issues or the fog today? There's all kinds of things, right? Or ice on the roads. So any little, like 1% of being more cautious could make the difference between hitting somebody. And how traumatic, if it causes death or harm to an individual, that would be bad for them. But what about for us driving and we hit somebody and, oh my goodness, they end up really injured or unfortunately passing away? What would that do to us? How traumatic would that be for us? Or what if we had a little one in the car with us or something and they saw something like that too? So anyways, it's just not a good thing. Just drive with caution. Karen says, well, there's bus loads from Toronto, compliments of Toronto's mayor last summer that didn't help. Plus the rent rates lack of places. So housing prices, and there were bus loads from the Toronto mayor last year. I was not aware of that. I still have to look into that and find out if that is true, because that's what I'm hearing too. I'm hearing that's true, that actually happened. So I want to go down and just interview for many reasons. I want to just talk to our people that are living in our city from here or not living in housing, and just find out a lot of things from them. Like, what do they think about the safe injection site, maybe? What do they think about Sudbury issues? That would be really great, just to start there. It's always like we're saying they. We're speaking for them on their behalf. We're finding solutions for them. I think a really great thing would be to just talk to them and see what they think about everything. I saw a really cool news report from some journalists in the States doing similar things, because what happens in New York City is they have a lot of people that are in the country illegally, and the government seems to be making like really great facilities for them. And they have like these really warm, nice new tents with new furniture in it. They have new like video game consoles for the kids, for all the illegal people coming into the country, into the United States, ending up in, like, let's say New York City. And the government is putting forward millions of dollars for these, facilities that are really humane. They get, really great meals, like comfortable beds and all these things. And so the reporter went around talking to the homeless in New York and said, did you know that the government is paying for these facilities for the illegal aliens? And they were like, what? I got to sleep in the crevice of a building. I got to fend for myself. There's it's dangerous, blah, 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 on and on and on. And why doesn't the government do this for our own citizens kind of thing? So that was the issue there. But that digresses in some ways because it opens up a can of worms for other issues. However, the only point I was trying to make was about speaking to the very people themselves who were impacted and that we're trying to find solutions for. Diane says North Bay sent some. Oh, North Bay sent some here also. To the provincial building here. And Karen said, but putting homelessness in a building don't always work either, as they could, beat the place up. Her terminology. I had a friend who was in a transitional place who told me she met people who took the trip. Oh, interesting. Oh, about the Toronto mayor sending people up here. Toronto is telling immigrants that it's easier to get paperwork done here in Sudbury. Ah, there you go. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to, in my free time, I have lots of free time, going downtown and speaking to many of these people. And we also have Shane, for instance, Marco, who've reached out, who are participants on the show via, commenting in the comment section, reaching out and saying, hey, if you need anything else, if you need some reporting, if you need someone on air, which I really appreciate. And that's basically how Julia as well reached out to me and came on the show. She's been on the show twice already. Brian Poulin as well. So again, we really appreciate your participation. And I bring that up because, again, we may need many hands to be able to get the job done in terms of journalism, because, again, this is a volunteer venture on my part. I work a full-time job basically out of town, and I have to get up a lot earlier in order to come and deliver the show and all this, and all the guests we have on, they're also co-hosts, they're also volunteer. So, but anyways, where there's a will, there's a way, and where there's a passion, which I do have, I want to basically make our community a better place to live. And you don't need $250,000 a year in order to do that, to be paid by taxpayers' money. You could do that basically volunteer. And that's been my whole shtick for many years. I think government should be volunteer myself. I know that's controversial. And I know a lot of my close friends, very intellectual friends, they say, no, government should actually be paid more, because then you'll get better people in the more you pay them. And I was like, I see volunteers every day doing a lot of great stuff, and they're not paid, and they make our communities way, way, way better. Anyways, not that I'm against politicians or politicians being paid. And speaking of, not being paid or volunteering, Laurentian is looking for people to be on their board. Would you like to be on Laurentian's board? Well, here's your opportunity. Have lots of free time, want to serve on Laurentian's board. Having held 54 meetings since last December amid much disruption related to the university's insolvency, the board basically would have had to have met quite a bit. Only half of LU's board voting members' positions are currently filled. The story's from Sudbury.com. Have you ever had a burning ambition to serve on Laurentian University's Board of Governors? I'd say that's probably a very small list of people. I don't think your everyday average person wakes up in the morning and says, I have a burning desire to serve on Laurentian University's Board of Governors, however. So Miles says, basically, who actually is the government? Oh, or supposed to be. Thank you, Miles. We are. People are the government. So yeah, you're right. We're not paid and we're in the government. There you go. Have you ever had a burning desire to be on Laurentian's Board of Governors? If you do, if that's the case, the board might entertain your offer. With only half of the board's voting member positions currently filled, there's quite a few seats up for grab right now. And the board is recruiting. In early 2021, Laurentian declared insolvency and filed for creditor protection under the CCAA, making widespread cuts to its programs and employees in April of that year. The university's hopes to exit CCAA in November after creditors voted in favor of a debt plan. There's been considerable shakeup at Laurentian's board since December, when 11 members stepped down as part of a provincial financial package, and 5 others were appointed. That's interesting. I'd like to find out a little bit more about that. Several more people have left and joined the board since that time. Okay, so there you go. Now, are they saying who could qualify for these? Laurentian currently only has 8 voting members on its board. If you're interested, just click on the link to see if you would qualify. If you do, I would think you'd have to have a PhD and you'd have to be somebody in some kind of high, lofty position in the city somehow to be on the board of Laurentian, even though Laurentian is last on the list of Canadian universities, according to Maclean's magazine. And we've been the only major university to go bankrupt in Canada. They're probably looking for a lot of the heavy hitters in the city and just probably going about things the same way they've always gone about things. And, the definition of insanity. Oh, yeah. Bye, Karen. Have a great day heading to work. Appreciate you chiming in on the show. So, yeah, Laurentian University. And this is a good time to just let everyone know that the views, opinions on this show are that of Sudbury News only, and its host, myself, and do not necessarily reflect that of Laurentian University, its faculty or staff, or that of CKLU, the Laurentian University's campus and community radio station. And I'm grateful for that I'm able to share my point of view. And that's the great thing about community radio and community communication in general, that we're able to share our point of view. And speaking of point of view, Sudbury letter that says Canada must unlock its trapped in the ground natural resources. That's a link you might want to, a letter you might want to read from the Sudbury Star that goes into same thing I've been saying for years, that we're losing a lot of money from here, and a lot of it doesn't stay here. Chrystia Freeland intention to fast-track energy and mining projects can only be carried out if the federal and provincial governments develop a political will to rein in Aboriginal groups. The quote-unquote Aboriginal title and quote-unquote consult and accommodate constitutional powers to endlessly delay or otherwise frustrate such projects. That's correct. These Aboriginal powers were used against Cliffs Resources to stop the Ring of Fire project years ago, and they are being exercised again in the form of fresh lawsuits to stop substantial delay of the Ring of Fire project now. This severely harms the interest of both Canadians and Canada's allies, who all desperately need these resources. It's an emergency. Government has the legal right to conscribe or repair Aboriginal rights in circumstances where the government is pursuing a compelling and substantive public objective. Parentheses, in this case, responding to this emergency, where the impairment is minimal and proportional, and where the honor of the Crown is upheld. So this is Peter Best writing this letter to the Sudbury Star, and he goes on to say, government must proclaim and carry out this new will immediately, that doesn't make any sense, to remove the investment uncertainty caused by Aboriginal rights so that all Canadians and all of our allies, including the desperate Ukrainians, can benefit as soon as possible from Canada's rich but legally trapped in the ground, quote unquote, trove of natural resources. So this sounds very kind of, it is an opinion, obviously, so it is very opinionated, that the government just needs to step in and say, okay, the Aboriginal, kind of working things out with them needs to, they're holding things back and stuff. However, I think that was a really great move in the right direction. And I think they will also see the benefits for everyone if it's done correctly. I just think people in their negotiating aren't the greatest. And I think there's just too much greed out there. And I think if you're dealing with our First Nation people, they, from what I've been able to see at their core, they're all about what's best for everybody, not only themselves. Now, there could be certain factions, certain things that you've seen, but I think at the heart of where they're coming from, it's usually what's the best for everybody, including the planet, the people, and everything. And I really think if we approached it that way, it would be done correctly. And I think maybe that's what's holding it back more than, just the fact that we can't just push things along and cram things through. However, it's harder to do things the right way. It's harder to do things where everybody benefits and not just one party or one side of things. The Great Pumpkin Hunt at Kiwi Park is the best one yet. So yeah, so there's some really great celebratory things going on in the city. And also, look at this, Lively Man hand carves jack-o'-lantern display. Tom Jeffrey's Halloween display at his home in Greater Sudbury community of Lively featured, I don't know how many, 60-some pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, 62 hand-carved jack-o'-lanterns, and a smoke machine and several other frightening characters. The pumpkins are really the show, so kind of you set up something and you put pumpkins around it, said Jeffrey. It's hard to just read quotes when people are just kind of speaking off the cuff. So again, a couple of old doors, pretty basic, but when you put the pumpkins and light them up, it's pretty good. Neighbors on Joseph Street and other passerbys told CTV News they are impressed with the handcrafted display. So awesome. Great to see that there's people in Sudbury getting into the spirit of the season. It's always great to see that on streets. Just getting by some of the other stories here we've already covered. We don't normally do this, but I thought it would be kind of neat just to share some kind of meme here and there. I do that every once in a while. So this was shared by one of the radio stations in town, and it actually doesn't give credit to the radio station, but anyways. Yell out exactly what you want for Christmas near your partner's cell phone and just wait for the Facebook ads to pop up. I just thought that was funny because it is true. You ever have that happen? And you wonder how that is possible? Well, that's because your phones have the capability of listening, Siri, right? So Siri is listening to you at all times. That's why you're able to say, if I say it now, it might pop on. But anyway, Siri, whatever. I have a question. And yeah, what would you like? So in order for that to be capable, it needs to be listening to you at all times. And so these apps have the ability to actually listen to you in real time. And then that's put into their advertising algorithms. It takes the words you say, and then right away it gives you the ads that go along with whatever you're talking about. So you might have noticed you're talking about taking a vacation at some point in time, and all of a sudden, resorts for that area of the world pop up on your Facebook ads or other social media platforms as well. Because it's not just them. Pretty controversial, according to the news anyways, that says Bernier believes common sense message will help PPC breakthrough in Sudbury and the North. So that's Maxime Bernier, head of the People's Party of Canada, apparently very controversial. The media does not like him or his party or his message. So let's just see how Sudbury Star, which sometimes is more unbiased when it comes to politics, I find, that's my own personal belief, see what they have to say about Maxime Bernier visiting Sudbury. Party wants inquiry into pandemic response, rejection of climate rejection of climate policy, multiculturalism, and woke ideologies. Despite Sudbury's penchant for electing progressive politicians, People's Party of Canada leader Maxime Bernier believes his party can make a breakthrough in the area soon. Bernier hosted a meet and greet in the Nickel City on Saturday evening as part of his Northern Ontario tour. Also includes stops in Sturgeon Falls, Sault Ste. Marie, North Bay, Thunder Bay, Timmins, Iroquois Falls, and Temiskaming Shores. So he's going across Northern Ontario. Quote from him says, "When I'm traveling like that, the goal is to meet all people, build our organizations, also having our candidates. We may not have an election tomorrow, but we need to be ready. Up to now, we have at least 80 candidates approved and ready to run. And we want that. And we want that because we want them to be active in their ridings." Bernier said the People's Party of Canada plans to put out another call for candidates early in 2023 and hoping of building the party's showing in the 2021 federal election, where they captured 4.9% of the popular vote, up from 1.6% in 2019. So let's compare that to the coverage of the Sudbury.com article. And it is right here. I thought it was there. Let's see. No, that's Laurentian. Sudbury.com. That's very interesting. Oh, it must be all the way back here. Got too many Sudbury.com articles open. So here you go. Maxime Bernier. Then we got to, this is the last thing we're going to be covering, and then we got to go. Earshot Daily's ready on CKLU. People's Party of Canada Maxime Bernier spoke to about 60 supporters in Sudbury on Saturday evening as part of a 2-week tour in Northern Ontario. Bernier touched on many subjects during the 2-hour event held at a small conference room in a local hotel, presenting a speech and then answering questions from audience members. Subjects addressed during the event included the PPC's stance on COVID-19 health restrictions and vaccinations, transgender issues, climate change, abortion, multiculturalism, cryptocurrency, the war on Ukraine, and more. Many supporters were kitted out in purple party merchandise purchased at the door. Although, why do people use words like that? That's what I got to know already. Anyways, you're reading this. Who uses the word kitted? And it's not just Sudbury.com I'm doing this on anyways. Why do we use words that no one's ever heard before? Many supporters were kitted out in purple party merchandise purchased at the door, although one was spotted wearing a red "Make America Great Again" hat, and another in an anti-vaccination t-shirt. Bernier, a former Conservative Party member of MP, ran unsuccessfully for the Conservative Party's leadership in 2017. He then founded his own party in 2018. So difference between the reporting, right? Here you have Sudbury.com, basically, you can see very, hot topic things. There was one person wearing that, another person wearing this. It very kind of rile people up with what the media has kind of gone against with this. Like them, leave them, hate them, love them. But the media's coverage of a certain person, you can see how they have the ability to word things. Sudbury Star, I thought, just basically said what he was saying. Leave it up to you to make your own decision, which I like reporting to be, and not like pushing people's buttons. Oh, you knew there was someone there who had a swastika tattoo on the back of their neck. So I guarantee you, if I went to a party that this particular reporter supported, and I had a "Make America Great" hat on, they wouldn't say that. Or they might say there was a disruptor there going against, even though I never said anything. Again, right? So it's just weird. I just think reporting, I just really appreciate unbiased reporting as much as it's out there, regardless of what stance you're on. Just like to point it out when I can. But thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here to support the show. We really appreciate it. And thanks for commenting most of all. And liking, sharing, subscribing, all that stuff. Make sure to like us and share us as much as you can. Miles gets the last word. Bernier, very controversial with past scandals in Canada instead of the Conservative government. Yeah, in CA, I think you're meaning Canada, but got to leave it at that. And we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with all y'all. And stay tuned now for CKLU on CKLU for Earshot Daily. Ciao, everyone. Have a great Halloween and enjoy it. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.